I'm here to share my heart about what's going on with drilling in the Arctic, the possibility of drilling there, and I believe it should not happen.
I oppose Arctic drilling because my tradition tells me that we are responsible for our environment, and we have been doing a pretty poor job of it.
So I oppose Arctic drilling because not only is it going to accelerate climate change to catastrophic levels, it's also an example of how capitalism and the drive for profit undermines democracy.
I spent 40 years fixing broken corporations. I was able to see them from the inside. I saw what greed was doing to our country and doing to our environment.
I'm a U.S. Army veteran. I worked out at Lockheed Shipyard in Seattle in the 70s and 80s. I've been a union member for over 40 years, active in the union movement. And I'm doing everything I can to stop the Shell oil fleet from going up and drilling in the Arctic.
As an Iraq veteran, I encourage other veterans to get involved with the environmental justice movement. We fought wars for oil. We squandered trillions of dollars on those brainless wars for profit.
I'm a Seattle Raging Granny. The Raging Grannies are all about having a future for our children and grandchildren. I have a child, and I'm sure you want a future for your children as well. We cannot let Shell go up into the Arctic and drill.
I oppose Arctic drilling because it kind of seems like, I mean, it's the future of the world, and it's also the future of like the essence of the world.
For me as a queer person, I understand how state and corporate decisions can affect the most vulnerable, and climate change is going to fall on those who can least afford it.
I believe that people power and our resistance, and the resistance that I've seen locally and globally, can stop multinational corporations like Shell from profiting off of the lives of people from the global south.
People power is one of the most renewable resources in this world, and if we don't tap into that with wholeheartedness, then we're not going to be able to defend Mother Earth.
We are here and we have the responsibility to shape our future.
I'm here because I climbed Shell's oil rig in the middle of the Pacific Ocean that was heading up to drill in the Arctic. I did this to highlight that what they're doing is psychopathic, insane, and we can't afford to burn the oil that they want to go for.
The science on this is clear, it is brutal, it is undisputed. It has not been disputed in this room, interestingly.
We do not currently have sufficient technology to clean up environmental disasters like oil spills. We can only clean them up in a very superficial way.
And we will make it clear that we won't tolerate being made complicit in a project that's absolutely catastrophic in nature.
Do we have the brains and the guts and the vision and the will and the integrity to win our only viable future, a clean energy future, or do we accept the oil industry's campaign to convince us that resistance is futile and we just have to accept our future of climate chaos? Shell has weighed in on this, imposing this choice of moral obligations, and said, no, you don't have a choice. The only way to produce energy access is to ride on this bus with us while we drive it over the cliff.
The economic consequences of the anticipated spills aren't just simply a line item on a profit report or a missed quarterly projection. These things have real and tangible effects on the local communities and ecosystems of the area.
To me, this is our only home. It's our mother, Mother Earth, and we have to protect Mother Earth and everything on it.
My tradition says, Al Tashchit, do not destroy. We are put here to protect, to care, to help things grow, not to tear things down and not to deplete.
My faith as a Hindu teaches me that this earth is my mother, and it is my duty to protect her.
Mother Earth is so gracious, so generous. It can provide for our needs, but not for our greed.
The Christian faith teaches us to embrace a life of humble compassion and to turn away from greed. And we need this wisdom right now.
And the word in the language here of Chief Seoth is Hachusita. It's right here. It's the intellect of the heart, the intelligence of your heart. Your entire being has intelligence. So the challenge is the children, educating children, encouraging them to develop the wisdom that they carry inside of them. This world will change. This world will change like that.
Stop living in a virtual world, in a fictional world, because the real world, it's really hard and complicated, but it's also real. And sometimes there are little nice moments packed in there, and they're nice to live.
You'll start to see a lot of apathy, and there's a lot of that in my generation because of like kind of this hopeless situation that we've been born into. But there are also a lot of young people mobilizing and realizing that we have between 5 to 10 years to really put forth a strong climate policy, and we're putting everything into it in these next couple years because we want a future.
We need everyone to join us. If we succeed in raising enough hell, we can delay this project to a standstill, as the people have done with Keystone XL. We'll be able to look back at this moment and tell our kids, we saved the Arctic.
I think the major problem that we're having on the planet is that as individuals, we are not taking the time to remember what we love. When I left my corporate world, I took the time to remember what I love. I remembered special places. I remembered the love of my grandchildren and my children. I remembered animals that I love and species that I love. And the reason I'm opposed to Arctic drilling is because I remember what I love.
I oppose drilling in the Arctic.
I oppose Arctic drilling.
I oppose.
I oppose.
I oppose.
I oppose.
We oppose Arctic drilling.
I pledge to resist.
I pledge to resist.
I pledge resistance.
I pledge resistance.
I pledge resistance.
I pledge resistance.
I pledge to keep resisting Arctic drilling.